hear the music, or we put that in?
That's an after effect. That's an after effect. No, we're not a couple of soundboard. What's going on, everybody? Welcome back to episode 109 of Cali Brick Clique. And remember, you can find this episode on our previous episodes and anywhere you can find your podcast, Apple, Spotify, iHeart, yada, yada, yada. I still have a list because I still have Invisalign. And like always, we have Ninja.
Oh, man, I was muted.
Wow, fail. Claire, the plastic architect.
I'm here.
And this week, we have Nick, a.k.a. Brick Adjuster. How's it going, man?
Hello. I just wanted to say how excited I am. I already talked to you earlier how excited I am to be on Cali Brick Clique. When Shai sent me the DM, I was like, wow, I'm actually invited to the party. I'm like looking at the invite. What do I type? So I was just like, sure, I'd love to be on.
I mean, I guess that means a lot. I appreciate it, man. But we're gonna get into like really heavily right now. So if you don't know who Nick is or Brick Adjuster, he's an OG in the Lego YouTube community or community in general. He's been around for a very long time. He disappeared for a little bit and has come back. So let's get into him. Nick, who are you and what's your Lego story?
I wasn't really into Lego as a kid. So growing up, I played with like G.I. Joes and Transformers, wrestling figures. I was big into wrestling figures. Never really into Lego. I don't know. My parents never bought it for me. I didn't even notice it in the stores. Whenever I'd go to the toy section. I'd just go straight to like the things I was collecting. So I'd collect like a lot of the different Transformers or a lot of the wrestling figures. He-Man. I was big into He-Man when I was even younger. So as for Lego, it was actually Tristan, my eldest, and Maria, my wife, who were into Lego way before I even thought about Lego. Superheroes just kind of came out. And so he was getting that. Harry Potter, I think also he got some Harry Potter. And then 2012 was actually the first time I built a Lego set. One of the Creator Lighthouse sets. Tristan was building it. I started building with him and I was like, oh, there's like instructions. And so one of my old videos was actually, it's called The Lego Story. And so it was me kind of talking about my story.
How old is this video, by the way? Like what?
It was the second video I ever posted. Oh, so I was telling Shai too that we're recording this on January 24th. And it's actually my anniversary of when I posted my very first YouTube video, which is pretty cool. It's pretty cool that this is actually, which was January 24th, 2014.
Wow.
And so this second video, which was my Lego story, was January 25th, 2014, because it was like the next day. In this video, I talked about, it was spring 2012. We went to the Lego store. This was my first experience at the Lego store. When I went in, the first thing I noticed were, some of you aren't fans of the architecture sets, but I noticed the architecture sets and I was like, oh, those are pretty cool. Like it's actual buildings of places from around the world. And so I was like gravitating towards the White House. And so I kept looking at the White House. I'm like, oh, that's pretty cool. Tristan came holding the town hall and he's like, can we get this? And Maria's like, do you want to get this? And I'm like, sure. Like, okay, we can get it. So that was like the first big Lego set that I was there. And we kind of brought home this town hall modular set. I don't even remember if they were numbered. Do you remember if Town Hall was numbered at all?
I think so. We
opened all the bags. Yeah. We opened all the bags. And I was putting them all in order of like shape and everything. Because I was like, oh, we can't start yet. We have to put them all in order. Because this is like my first time. I was basically putting in order. I was handing him the pieces. He was putting it together. Because I was like, yeah, it's your set. You can put it together. And then when he went to bed, I was kind of like looking at the pieces. And I'm like, I'm going to put stuff together. So I started building it, and then I finished the first and second floor without him. And he was like, well, you did this without me. And I went back to the Lego store by myself and I bought the fire brigade and the White House. Basically at the beginning, I was just buying the modulars and the architecture sets. That's what I was just collecting.
I mean, it looks like you have them all and multiples of really hard ones to get behind you.
The only multiple,
yeah, two town halls are stacked together, right? And you have a bunch of like other things that are kind of mashed up, right?
The only multiples are from stuff that I won at like conventions. I've never bought a multiple modular Parisian restaurant. I won it from this It was like a game at Philly Brick Fest where it was a pit of 2x4 bricks, and we all had to like walk around the circle in our socks. And then the person who stayed the longest would win the Parisian restaurant. And so yeah, I stayed the longest. At the end, I was like me and this little girl, and they're like, "Just give it to the girl." I'm like, "No, I want the Parisian restaurant."
You're that guy that's sports.
I'm that guy. I'm that guy.
You keep the hockey puck or keep the baseball and just screw the kid.
But she got something at the end. A
minifigure? What was it?
No. I think she got. They were giving out sets. They were like enticing people to leave by giving out sets. Someone got like the sop with camel. Is that what it's called? The plane.
World War I plane.
Oh.
And then there was another big set that they were giving out for like the second place person. Like back at the beginning of Philly Brick Fest, they were giving away like huge sets. Like by the third time I went to Philly Brick Fest, people had seen all these other videos of me getting stuff. By that time, they weren't giving out big prizes anymore. So they're like, people are going to these conventions expecting to get big stuff, and I'm like, I guess you have to be there early. You have to be there at the beginning.
No, I mean the conventions that I've been to, they've had some decent things given away to the people who are attending, like not public. I know Chicago, they gave away some good stuff. Claire, I know, were you around? Did someone got something big that none of us claimed?
I wasn't there. No, I think JB won something.
Oh yeah, so I know they're giving away big stuff over there. I mean, if you participate in any of this stuff, at Brick Soleil they gave a lot of big stuff away too. I think of whatever they could accumulate. I was fortunate to win like one of the large Technic sets.
What did you get?
I got the white Porsche RSR. Okay. The one with a lot of stickers on it. Whatever. Technic? Either way, I haven't built it yet, and it's just stuck in this box. So, but before we get into convention, so what brought you to like bring your passion for Lego into like filming it?
So. Yeah. I started watching a lot of Lego YouTube when I first started back in 2012, just to figure out what else to buy, because I had already got all the architecture sets and all the modulars. I'm like, what else is there? Because I never really looked at Star Wars. Whenever I'd go to Lego store, all the Star Wars just looked the same to me. Like ships are ships, right? And then I started watching the Brick Show, and they had all these Star Wars videos.
R.I.P.
And so I was watching them. And they hype it up to make it sound so cool. And so the ships started looking different to me now. Like they weren't all the same. And so I was like, but where can I get some of these ships? And then we had this store, but it wasn't the Lego store. It was similar to bricks and minifigs that they have now. And so that's where I was able to get a lot of these older Star Wars sets. I'd make like a spreadsheet, right, with prices, and I'd kind of figure out what I wanted to get. I also started watching Brickstar, AFOL Man, Mardi Gras Man 2-3. All these kind of channels that weren't as big as the Brick Show. And so I was like, maybe I can do something like that. It was more like I wanted to show off because I wasn't showing anything to my friends because I was still kind of I still kind of am. Nobody really knows, like anyone from high school knows about this basement. And so I wanted to show people what I have besides just Maria, because she like rolled her eyes. I'm like, okay, yeah, whatever. It's like I took away the joy of Lego from her because she and Tristan were so into Lego, and then she's not as excited because I'm too excited about Lego. But yeah, so I made
hobby, man. That's kind of
I know she's sort of into it now. She had her own channel too. I don't know if you know about her channel. Her channel's the Brick Zapper. So she was on maternity leave at the same time I started the Brick Adjuster channel. And so her channel, the Brick Zapper, had a lot of speed draws. But so the first video I made was at the clinic. I just had like my iPhone 3 in front of like my little minifigure. And it was like a haul video of me just opening up these Toy Story minifigures that I got on Bricklink. It's like, hello, YouTube. It's a Brick Adjuster here. And I just want... It was like... the enthusiasm was still a bit lower than it was before. Like no one was at the clinic. It was like late at night. It was just me by myself.
Or you weren't doing like that because you wanted to hide your passion?
No, like I had no. It was my first video, and I just wanted to try it. So I had my stuff in my knapsack, my Bricklink haul, and so I just filmed it. And then I started having like my eldest son and my middle son in the videos, and they were excited to do them and all. And I kind of miss like doing doing videos with them. For my eldest, it's weird. It's like transition. So like from when he was like a baby till like maybe 4 years old, it was like mama's boy. So he was like with mom all the time. And then from like 5 to 13, it was, or maybe like 5 to 12, it was like all about dad. So it's like asking me questions, and we were like always like building in the basement, and then we'd work out together. We'd go for runs. We'd play basketball, and then by like 13 hit, he didn't want to like hang out with me anymore. He was like just kind of hanging out with his friends. But the cool thing though is like my kids are 5 years difference. By the time Tristan didn't want to hang out with me anymore, Mason was kind of at that age where he was always asking me questions. And by that time, it was like Pokemon time. So we'd go out and play Pokemon Go together. And then, so now Mason's at that 13 age now, and he doesn't really want to hang out with me anymore. But now Hayden, the youngest, is 8. He's turning 9 in like a couple of weeks. He's all about me right now. But I'm just afraid like I should cherish this Hayden, because I know that by the time he's 13, he's gonna not want to be with me anymore. And like,
Right.
you know, I have to like cherish all this Hayden time.
Do you
while
watch?
he's into it.
You ever watch Family Matters? Anyone?
I did.
No?
With
Wait,
Yeah,
Oh,
Ernie.
yeah, yeah.
I remember Carl said something close to that. Like when Eddie was young, all he wanted to do was play with his dad, but he had no time because he had to work a lot. But now that Eddie's almost an adult or late teens, and now Carl has the time, it's too late.
Mm, that's
So,
how it
like,
works.
Yeah, no, for real. Like you have to like cherish those times with them as when they want your attention, because you know when they get into teens, just like how we all were. we
Yeah, I
wanted to
think
do
I
our
was
things,
about
just being
I
independent.
was the same thing. Yeah.
Yes, it's kind of a normal thing.
But one
So-
cool thing though is like Tristan, he's 18 now. He's actually talking to me again, and he's asking me
Well, that
advice.
happens. Like you go through your independent stage, and
Full
then
circle.
you just come back and talk to your parents. I mean, I was
Yeah, so I'm
like
like,
that.
I'm like jumping at it. I'm like, what do you want to talk about? Because he's asking me advice about different things. So I'm like, oh, okay, that's
Oh, adulting's gonna
cool.
be coming hard for him
It's all
soon.
these like stages. Sometimes Maria and I would like look back at those videos just to see them younger. So it's kind of like time capsules, you know?
Yeah.
Because a lot of like how I did videos before was when I would do a review video, I would have Tristan and Mason unbag. Like there'd be a big Lego store bag on the table with the sets in there, and they dump the bag out. Then they'd be like, "Whoa!" Like true surprise,
Lord.
because I wouldn't tell them what was in the bag, and then they would like unbox it. So it'd be this fun like watching them as kids now, because they're a lot bigger. And then at the end of the video, I'd ask them like what their favorite part of the set was, what's their favorite minifigure. So they'd be like, my favorite part of the set, and in like their little kitty voice, like their high pitched
Nice.
voice, because now they have like low voices. So it's interesting looking back. It's like a time capsule. It's like old videos of back in 2014, 2015.
Occasionally, my wife will like pull up an old video and just to see like our kids at like baby stages, and she like misses those times. So I totally get the time capsule thing, but
But yeah, like
yeah.
in 10 years, when you look at your vlogs and you see your kids, you're gonna be like, oh, they're so little.
Oh
and
man.
yeah, no, that's the thing.
you know what I mean?
Yeah,
In
no,
10
that-
years
that's
from now.
one of the reasons why I do them. It's just to pull it out when I need to. It's so worth it. It's so worth it. Quick question though, like, were you like on YouTube first before you got into the Lego community in itself, or were you in the Lego community and then found YouTube?
So as I started my channel, I was watching a lot of other channels that weren't the big channels, like that weren't Brick Show, Brickstar. And so I was commenting on all these other AFOL channels, and then they would kind of comment back, right? And so I would kind of meet people that way. And then there was this whole live stream that Big B Bricks started. It was called the Saturday Night Train Wreck live stream, because it was always a train wreck. Well, the first few episodes was always a train wreck. And so how these live streams worked was it was always on someone else's channel every Saturday from like 8 p.m. to 11 p.m. It was different because we talk a lot, a lot of games, a lot of build challenges going on. It would rotate up with maybe 20 people. This is another way like I met a lot of people. And for my first Philly Brick Fest, a lot of people who were at these train wreck live streams were at that first Philly Brick Fest that I went to in 2015. And then 2016, it was even more people from that group came. And so we got to meet each other in person. Like Brickstar was even there too. And Brickstar might be the only one that that might have been there. Well, Harold, Norma Bricks was there too. A lot of the other people aren't on, like Bricks for Chris. He's not around anymore.
Hey, and he's here every now and then in the chat.
Well, he doesn't make videos.
He left because of the whole COPPA thing, which is kind of sucks because he had some good stuff. Like he made some cool things.
Yeah, he was the first one to really do all that. We'd call it like customizing a set, where you'd like expand the set and make it like
huge.
Bigger. Now everyone does it, but he was like the first one that would do it in like the YouTube space.
Mm-hmm.
And that's where everyone kind of got their ideas. That's kind of how I got into that community. And then I even hosted my first Saturday live stream on my 1-year anniversary. It wasn't a face reveal yet. It was still just my icon. I waited 2 years before I made my face reveal. Damn. I was doing the whole ninja.
Like why'd you hide your face to begin with?
At the beginning, it was just because I didn't want anyone to know that, like at work or school, that I was into Lego, basically. And then as time went on, it was just because people kept asking, like all these kids in the comments would always be like, show your face. And you know, when people are telling you to do something, you want to do the opposite sometimes. And so, no, I want to show my face.
Keep it mysterious.
And so I was telling Shai, I actually did show my face a year into it because I started a vlog channel in 2015. So every Saturday morning we do. Right now, currently, we do a live stream called Full of Brick. And so I do that with my wife, Maria, and like Harold's on, and also Open Build with Pete.
The noise.
But this live stream started on my vlog channel, where we do like, it was just me and Maria. Harold actually showed up our very second episode. He was like in the chat. It was at this time I'd be putting like, I don't do it anymore because something weird happened, but I put like the link to join in the chat, so people were joining. The weird thing that happened like afterwards was a whole twerker thing happened, and so that was like a mistake. So don't put links into the stream in the chats.
That's not smart.
Yeah, chat.
But then I wouldn't have met Harold if I hadn't done that. So because he showed up on that. I don't even know how he found my vlog channel, but he was.
I mean, I found your channel when you weren't around. I remember looking up Philly Brick Fest because it was huge at the time when I first came into like the YouTube space. Everybody was still going to that. So I just typed in Philly Brick Fest and your videos came up. So
okay.
Philly Brick Fest sadly isn't what it is or what it is
now.
I heard
it kind of went
dead. So you're in the community now. You're doing YouTube. You're doing well at the time, and then you took a break. Why?
It was a mobile game. It's called Pokemon Go, and it kind of took over my life. I was deep into it. So Saturdays and Sundays, I'd be playing Pokemon Go from 3 a.m. to 7 p.m. straight.
And Maria was cool with that? Like,
I was gone. So from 3 a.m. to 6 p.m., I'd be taking gyms because raids don't start until 6 a.m. When
Can you
6
explain
a.m.
Pokemon Go right quick in case anyone's not familiar with that?
So Pokemon Go is a mobile game where you basically catch Pokemon. But then there's other aspects of the game where you can take down, they're called Pokemon gyms, where people store their Pokemon in these gyms. But then if it's not your team color, you can take it over and hog it. As you take gyms, you accumulate points. The goal is to kind of get a gold medal. And so I was basically trying to get gold on all these gyms. At one point I was ranked in all of Canada.
Oh, nice.
Like third or fourth in all of Canada. Like as of right now, I have 755 gold gyms, where it's hard to even, some people don't even have one gold gym.
Do you just fight other people like across the country, or do you like have to physically go, hey, let's go?
You have to physically go.
So people can defend their gym if they notice that someone's fighting it. But if your Pokemon are so strong, it's hard for them. And so as you play Pokemon Go, you can strengthen up your Pokemon as you play. And so we drive to gym from 6 a.m. to 6 p.m. Just me and a bunch of people in my car, and like it was like 5 cars, and we'd all drive to different gyms at a time.
Yeah.
And then
days.
And so this was going on, I guess 2017, 2018, 2019, basically until COVID hit. Depending on when I'd have a patient, if I'd have like a morning patient, I'd raid afterwards, or if I'd have like an afternoon or evening patient, I'd kind of raid in the morning. And so I'd kind of work my schedule of Pokemon Go around where my patients were. Brick adjuster comes from a chiropractic adjustment. So profession is a chiropractor. And so when I say patients, it's chiropractic patients.
So can I get a massage then, like in Chicago, or what?
Chiropractic massage. But current like we kind of got rid of the clinic when COVID hit.
Bro.
And so before I got into chiropractic, I was working at a school for autistic kids. So I did that from like 2001 till 2010. So I was for like 9 years, I was working at a school for autistic kids. My brother's autistic. And so now basically I'm a social worker for him. So we do programs during the day. We'll go to the gym, do some activities. And so that's basically what I'm doing right now. I don't know if I'm retired. Maybe I'm retired. I don't see myself. I go through like phases of different things, even though I'm still doing Pokemon Go. But I always go through that. One time, my big obsession before Lego was marathon running. And so I'd be running 100 kilometers a week consistently. Basically, I think it was like 2007 until 2012 was my big marathon time. Like between that time, I did 13 marathons. All of these marathons were different marathons. I never did the same one. We traveled to different U.S. cities. We do the rock and roll. There's a thing called the Rock and Roll Marathon series. I don't know if you guys heard about that, the Rock and Roll Marathon. Mm-hmm. It's cool because every mile there's a band playing, and so nice. It's like a live band. So it's like pumping you up as you go from city to city.
That's cool.
Yeah, that's not city to city, from mile to mile. There's like bands pumping you up. But yeah, half marathon, probably like 50 half marathons, a bunch of 5 and 10K. So that was like my obsession from like that at that time. And then when Lego kind of started, I stopped hanging out with my running friends, and then running kind of went down the tubes.
So you don't have balance is what you're saying. You just get absorbed by whatever you're into at that moment.
Yeah. So right now it's Lego. Before, this whole room was like DVDs behind me, and now it's all Lego. So all the DVDs are in the garage. Nobody watches DVDs anymore, but that was my thing before.
I'm so mad I invested heavily on that like 5, 6, 7, 8 years ago. Yeah, I don't know why. I'm just
yeah, we still have some. There's still some TV shows and stuff that are like some things you can't find on streaming.
Yeah. But yeah, this and now it's all like Lego. So
it's all Lego. So you still play Pokemon Go? Did you two like play that stuff? I remember it was like really trendy for like a second and it disappeared for me.
I still play, yeah.
You still play it?
I gotta get your code after.
Well, I don't even know my stuff works. I got into it because I was so one of my brothers on a motorcycle club decided to wear a fake helmet and got in a pretty bad motorcycle accident. So like he was in the ICU for like months. So in that time frame, my guys, include myself, we would make sure that there was a member there 24/7. So we like take shifts and rotate. And in that time frame, that's when Pokemon Go was a thing, and like everyone played it. Like we would see like surgeons come out of like whatever they're doing, just and then come out, nurses come out, everyone comes out to wherever the Pokemon is in that hospital and just start trying to catch whatever's in front of them. It was ridiculous.
Oh yeah, it's nothing like the early days.
But then it kind of died out for us. So I don't know. That's really crazy. Like when I heard that you disappeared for Pokemon Go, I thought it was for like a short time frame, but to like you're gone for years.
See, I was gone around 2017, but I had videos banked until maybe like 2018. So people didn't know I was gone unless they were watching Full of Brick and they're like, oh, he's not doing Full of Brick anymore. But videos were still coming out because they were all banked. They were all scheduled to come out every day. Because like at that time, I was posting 2 videos a day. I was posting a video in the morning and then a video in the afternoon.
Oh, wow.
And
Dang.
so they were just coming out. Some people knew I was gone, but not everyone.
And how long were you gone for?
2017 till COVID.
Like what part of COVID? 2021?
Oh,
when did you come back?
I think it was December 2020. Harold messaged me and said, "Do you want to do a live stream?" Or maybe the day before that, I went onto YouTube and I checked out one of those Saturday streams that I was talking about earlier. And there was like a whole bunch of different people on there, and they weren't even talking. They were just kind of building. It was weird. Or one guy was talking a lot, and everyone else was just kind of like me right now. I'm just talking. But I remember I typed in the chat, and they're like, "What is it, like 2016? The Brick Adjuster's here!" Like, and then all of a sudden I got blocked. It was weird. Someone blocked me.
What?
Someone thought you were a troll. That's probably why.
Can't be real.
Well, that's one thing I noticed when I now I don't when I post a video, I don't get those like 8 or 9 dislikes right away. Because before, the moment a video was posted, immediately 8 or 9 dislikes. And I don't know if it's one person's account, one person with multiple accounts was doing it or had a whole bunch of, but there was like a lot of haters back then that aren't there anymore.
There's still an army out there.
Pissed off. No, I mean haters of the Brick Adjuster.
Oh, why?
Oh,
I might have been like rude to like a lot, like T-Falls back in the day too, like just from like comments. Like you get like a lot of comments and then you're just kind of snarky back. You know what I mean? Like
right.
stuff like that.
I love doing that. It's fun.
But yeah, I don't get. I think they either grew up or they're not into it anymore. Not a lot of comments as before too. So people still watch, but they don't comment.
I mean, you are like at
interesting.
a 3-year gap. That's a lot. It's like almost starting all over. And like, I remember when you came back on, you're like, who are all these people? And you came back during COVID when there was a lot of new people that showed up out of nowhere, even for people like myself and Ninja. So, what was that like?
Like, not a lot of channels are showing up. Like, I need to find all these other channels. Like I know the big ones because when I came back, the big ones I saw were Brixie. Was all like, who's this Brixie? He wasn't around when I left. Amasor is way bigger than she was when I first came back, but I could tell she was gonna be big just from like watching an Amasaurus video. Like her personality seems very infectious. I found Iceberg. I think Iceberg. He told me that he kind of just started when I left, and he was like, "Oh, where'd he go?" Because all of a sudden I disappeared when he left. Now I'm mostly just doing Full of Brick live stream with Maria, Harold, and Open Build Repeat. He kind of joined us last year, and so that's kind of fun to do. We always joke around if you see any of our streams.
So what is Full of Bricks? Like, what is it?
I think it's when Maria and I first started doing it, I always thought of it as like a Regis and Kathy Lee type of, I don't know. It's not, nobody knows Regis and Kathy Lee. I'm dating myself. A Kelly and Ryan Seacrest. Is that who's the co-host
Is that the
now?
new stuff? Okay.
Cali
You know,
Brick
have you heard of Regis and Kathy Lee? Do you know that reference
Yes.
I'm talking about?
Yes.
I
Yeah,
think
you guys aren't
think
that young.
Yeah.
But I guess if the young viewers, who's Kelly Ripa's co-host now?
We
Is
don't
it
have
Ryan
young
Seacrest?
viewers.
Well, back then they would like have
Who
a lot
has
of
TV now?
banter. I still have cable plus all the streaming stuff. I need cable to
Yeah.
watch all the sports.
All
But,
that's right.
There's a ESPN and Peacock does enough of that.
We don't have Peacock, and we don't have ESPN. The only streaming we get here in Canada is either Netflix,
Oh, that's right.
Amazon Prime, Disney Plus. Crave TV incorporates HBO Max and Showtime, and so that's all we get. We don't get the Peacock, and we don't get the
Yeah, Peacock,
Hulu.
that's like the fire one right now. I love Peacock.
So Full of Brick, it was more like a talk show that we had when we first started it, like a Lego talk show. And the joke was, I'd say, "Welcome to Full of Brick," and then she would say, "You're full of brick. You're full of brick." Like full of brick as in full of.
Right.
That's what the brick was supposed to be. Full of boop. And it's into season 4 now. Well, season 1 was basically 2015 all the way to 2017.
Wow.
All the shows in there. And then season 2 started when I came 2021, January 2021 to 2022, and then season 3, and then season 4 is now.
So that's your new clique then, now? Because you lost all your friends because they all disappeared, right?
Well, Harold was always there. Irvin's my new Lego friend. I have a new Lego friend now. I want more Lego friends. It's hard. I don't know what happened to Kevin. Kevin's not on YouTube anymore.
Imagine, like, a lot of us here have grown these like huge relationships over the years because we're always on. We see each other, watch each other's videos, we live stream calls, all that kind of stuff. See each other at conventions, and then you disappear, or let's say you do disappear, and you come back and they're just all gone.
This is like your biggest fear, Shy. So
yeah, it is. But think about it. I mean, like a lot of the close friends that were made, to you, include you guys.
Yeah.
I mean, but if we were to disappear, the difference between, like, I feel like what maybe Nick is talking about is that if I were to disappear, you could easily just text me and then we'd still have a conversation. You know what I mean? I think we've built our relationship beyond what this is. And like, but for like everybody else, like for example, like Chris, he disappeared and no one knows what's happening to him.
Who's Chris?
See?
What's his handle? I forgot.
Bricking it.
Bricking it. I mean, his wife did like one of my stuff like a while back, but I'm like, okay, you're not completely out of the loop. But I know he sold all of his stuff. Like he's completely gone out of the community, but no one knew anything. Like what if that happens to like anyone that we talk to? Like you just don't know. But like that's just like one person disappearing, right? But like to come back and like everybody's different.
Since I came back, a lot of people who I started watching aren't here anymore too. So even Starbrick isn't around. Cafe Corner, I don't see videos for her anymore. A lot of who are like in all these live streams, and they're not around anymore. There's more. COVID. I think it was like when they got back to their jobs, maybe. I don't know.
Life, yeah.
I think Sarah, because she became an employee for Lego, so that killed all of that. But those are creators, and that's the thing you notice when creators stop showing up. Like when people who are like, or just in the chat, in the comments, like they can disappear, and you'll notice if they're always there. But like for the most part, you're not really invested into them as much unless you really get to know who they are. But that's through the chat, or through DMs or messages. But like for the most part, when there's like a shared fate here with like understanding how much work comes into like a video or anything like that. So when you have someone like Chris disappear, knowing the kind of work he put into his channel, and it's kind of sad. It is a fear of mine, like to come back and everyone's gone or that kind of stuff, because you like I said, you invested time into these people, time that you can't get back. So and then for them to disappear, like it's like they don't care, it kind of sucks. You know what I mean?
I think me losing a lot of people I was hanging out with, it's kind of my fault because I'm the one who left, and I didn't even keep up because I was so engrossed with Pokemon Go, I forgot about keeping up with everyone. And so I think that was more my fault. And then coming back, just expecting everyone to be there still, but they weren't. And I don't know why other people left. I'm sure not everyone went to play Pokemon Go. Maybe people just got into other hobbies or whatever. There was another YouTuber that was really close with TMX Brick Notes. Do you remember? Have you ever heard of that? Martin. So he was really big, really close. I was really close with him. And also 3 Brick Friends from London. And then Big B Bricks too I was close with too. Like they were kind of leaders in the community. There's this one thing that they started, and I was kind of on the leadership committee because they would meet, and it was called Bricktubers. I don't know if you ever heard of Bricktubers. And so it was this thing in the community where like raffles were involved and giveaways were involved. People were getting like all these like minifigures with Bricktuber torsos, and it was this whole thing. But like I was also in charge of like sending minifigures to like Canadian people who wanted them, and then there was like international shippers. It was like this whole thing too that was going on. So like this whole community, or as you guys say, neighborhood, was different back then. See, I listened to a lot of your podcasts. I know the lingo.
We haven't said that in a long time.
I know. I just wanted to throw that out.
That's an OG. That's like season 1 stuff right there.
Oh, we never talked about these.
Well, go ahead.
So I had this thing where I was excited to hear the Cali Brick Clique catchphrases. And so whenever I'd hear a ninja catchphrase, I was going to kind of do this. And whenever I hear a Claire catchphrase, I was gonna do that, but then
Oh,
I've been dominating on the conversation, so
Yeah,
I haven't been able to hear any of the catchphrases.
I've just been so.
And I didn't want to tell you. I didn't want to tell you what the catchphrase, what my interpretation of the catchphrases were, because then you guys might not say the catchphrases because they usually just come. They usually just come out spontaneously.
I did want to say something though, because you did bring a thought to my head. Like, so you removed yourself from like communicating with everybody. Now that I'm like trying to reach out to different parts of like Lego YouTube, I've noticed that there's a lot of channels out there whose only community is their audience, and like they don't want to like interact, not really want to interact, but are not making an effort as much as like when we first started. Because I feel like when we all came on, like we all wanted to like be a part of the conversation, whereas now everyone's like doing great content. All these new people are coming out doing great content, and like, but they're just, I feel like they're not really aware of this community as like a whole. You know what I mean?
As
They're
a
just
whole,
creating content, and I'm seeing a lot of that. And the more I
Like
start,
which channels, or you don't want to say?
there's a bunch. Yeah, there's a bunch. It's not just one. Like there's a bunch, because I'm looking all over the place, and I'm like new creators are popping up all the time, and they range. You know, some are really big and some are really small. So like it doesn't really matter the channel. It's just like you notice just by watching some of their content, like looking at their lives, like you don't see not even like the same people like you would know, like because you notice people in your own community, but you see them in crossover and others as well. You see them in the comments, you see them in chats,
Yeah.
and these people have no idea who they are. And like it's not even the same from one spot to another, even if it's like a similar content, like if it's a city on a city video, or if it's like Ninjago, it's not the same people. They're literally isolated.
Interesting.
I think it makes sense. Like, there's different parts to the internet, and it's to each their own.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And it's just like, now that I'm like kind of macroing looking at this, it's like the community's getting huge. Because I feel like if you were like posting like within the past 5 years before this past year, like you would eventually run into most of the people who are still around today, right? Like via like in person, like we all know who like the Saturday night live streamers are on the AFO world. We all know like who's in this community, who's in that community. We all know of each other's people, and vice versa, like as creators are concerned. But like now it's just like there's not even overlap, because even if you go on people's Instagrams and you see who they follow, it's nobody that you would know, not even like the big dogs, like the ones who are over like 800,000, 500,000. Like they're not even following them. They're completely on their own thing. And I'm looking at this, I'm like, is this the future? Like it's the community aspect of it. I feel like it's getting more isolated, like to itself. But I feel like when you said like when you kind of left and you kind of had tunnel vision, kind of ignored everybody, I feel like that's what everybody is right now, coming into it, not leaving out of it.
Do you think it has to do with what feeds are popping up on their YouTube suggestions? Because based on that is what you're going to click on to notice other channels. Because maybe what you're like the channels that you're looking at, I've never even seen. Like the ones that you're mentioning right now, maybe I don't even know these channels too. Yeah. And why don't I know these? Earlier I said I wanted to find more Lego channels to subscribe to pop up on my feed, because right now not a lot are popping up. It's more, or maybe it's what I'm like looking at too, because a lot of it's like movie stuff, because lately I've been watching a lot of movie channels, and like those things are popping up, but I want to see more Lego, unless I actually type in the name of the person. I was like, oh, that person hasn't posted a video in a long time, so I'm typing in all the, even youth, sometimes I have to type in Shy Time, and then okay, oh, there's the latest one, or even like Plastic Architecture, oh, there's one there. But sometimes nothing's popping up on my, but like nothing's popping up on my feed. And so maybe
I get how the algorithm works for those other people too. I'm talking about, but at that point, I can't tell who's YouTubers are following, who's YouTubers. You can't. There's no way to do that unless your subscription, like they're following, is public. I'm talking about like, let's say I find this YouTuber, right? I've never heard of them before in my life. I find them through whatever. If I'm looking through city stuff, I'm looking through tech and stuff. It doesn't matter. I find them. I look for them on Instagram, and then I notice who they're following, and it's like who they're following is obviously not as big as who's following them. So it's very easy to see who they're following regardless. And you notice that like this person is not following. Like I'm just throwing Star Wars in there because that's the easiest thing. So you have the Star Wars channel not following Ryan or any of the bigger Star Wars YouTubers like Solid Bricks or Brick Wiz or any of them. Like none of them are on there. So it's like, and then you look at who's following them and you see if you have any similars, and there's none, zero. I'm finding more of that than late because you could easily find someone like if someone were to pop in your chat right now and you figure out they're a YouTuber, like in any of the streams that we're all a part of, if you were to find them on Instagram and like you see them, they pop up, they follow you, whatever, and you see who your similar friends are, it's like you notice that there's overlap in people like connecting to each other. And I'm with these people, I'm finding less and less of that. I don't know if it's because of all the people that are coming in from TikTok, all the people that are coming from Instagram into the YouTube space. But I just, we've already accepted the fact that TikTok brought in a ton of people that we had no idea. And we saw that at Chicago. There was a ton of people that we didn't know. And they were all big timers on TikTok. But
I think I'm not trying to call you out here, but I feel like it's more impactful to you because like you really enjoy like reaching out to people. You really enjoy like seeing who's out there, who's coming into. You're like definitely like a social engager, Shy, and so it makes sense to me why that like it might. You're like you probably felt you're like I have a good beat on this, and then you're like wait a second, you like
no, that's exactly it. That's
you
exactly
opened the
it.
door like it's like you went to a house party and you thought you had a lay of the land, and then you haven't even like scratched the surface, and
we're all these people.
Now you finally are in the backyard where everybody is or whatever. So.
Yeah, no, that's so true. That's exactly it. But
the Lego house party.
Like, I couldn't
the house party got huge. It's no longer at a house. It's like it's in a mansion at this point, and like we're barely in the front of the room. Like we haven't even made the backyard yet, and the backyard's been filled for like a couple hours.
That's great though. There's only good that comes from that because that means there's more viewers of Lego content. There's like more diversity with Lego viewers and content creators in terms of age and race and identity, and so it's like there's just like there's a lot more people that can be brought into the hobby, which like only benefits everybody. So
no, yes, I totally agree with that, and that's the thing that we're seeing. Like remember we said like a couple episodes all the time, like we always thought that there's a plateau of where you can go on YouTube with Lego, and now with like the influx of like the TD Bricks and all that kind of stuff, it brought in so many people. We say that, but now I see it as opposed to like creation is concerned. Like I'm not seeing more of the TD Brickses. I'm seeing more people who are bringing something different to the table. They're not big yet. They're like getting there. They have huge potential, but not only are they like, they're doing their own thing. They're bringing their own life to the party, but the people that they're bringing with them, it's like, or the people that are out there are people that I've never seen before. And even, so I use Force 101, like the the really big animated.
Stop motion.
Yeah, stop motion. You go to his like live streams and it's just like, who are all these people? You've never seen you don't know anybody on here. You've never seen any of these people as well. So it's like it just hit me. It's in community as like the core community that we always see, but like the core community is actually really, really big. They're like in different parts of this world that like we just don't notice, and it's always been that way technically because like we don't really I don't mess with the technic side. Only times I cared about technics because of Josh build stuff. So like, but like the whole racing brick, like they're huge technic. There's a huge community in that. A lot of people don't mess with the military side. There's a huge community in that. Like a lot of people are city builders. There's a huge community in that. And there's always been a thing, but to like, there's always been some sort of overlap, and you see like those engagements every now and then, and then, like you expect a connection somewhere like throughout like their audience. And the thing is, I'm seeing it from the audience. I'm not seeing it from the creators, and that's why I'm like, oh, we're in a different level now than we were like a year ago. So to see it from when you left or from when you started back in 2014 and it's now 2023, the YouTube space has changed significantly leading from when you left to COVID, and COVID even at the heart of COVID when all these people showed up till now. Like
even before COVID with Kappa.
Oh yeah, Kappa like changed a lot of that too.
Like there were a lot of people back then too that also I had no idea who they were.
Mm-hmm.
A lot of them right now that you're talking about could also just be a lot of T-falls who are now When I started, maybe when in 2020, maybe they were like 10. 2023, they're 13, and so now they're all into it. You know what I mean? Like they're just, oh, I said it.
Yeah.
So they're all into it, and so maybe I saw these like fluctuations of T-falls coming in that you had no idea, and you don't know who's in the chat if they're like 60-year-olds or if they're 12, unless you see them on the screen. That's why you do a lot of
people
vetting.
don't communicate in general. I mean, like you think of like out of a 30,000 viewed video, only 150 comments or 120 comments. There's a lot of other people that didn't say anything. I mean, I know all of us here have at least run into somebody who says they love your videos and you have no idea who they are. Because
I'm not a commenter, but I'm definitely like a consumer of YouTube.
Mm-hmm.
Right.
Yeah. So it's just out there, and I just wanted to bring that up because that tunnel vision, it did remind me of like what I'm seeing now. But that's just me. It can be different for everybody. But
I see where you're coming from.
Anyways, we've pretty much got a huge dive because I wanted to talk about this, like having like the evolution of Lego YouTube, and not only that, like the community in itself, and a lot of things have changed in like not only in like our time but your time as well. And I want to get a little beat on that, but before we beat a dead horse, do you have anything you want to share, plug, or say?
It's weird. It looks like you're looking at Claire because you're looking downwards, and so I think you're talking to her. But I guess you're looking at the screen. Your screen's down. Plugs would just be. Oh, so this Friday we're actually going to do our Full of Brick on a Friday instead of. Oh, actually.
That just throw you off?
We're actually, because we usually do our Full of Brick live stream Saturday mornings Eastern time at 8 a.m.
That's super early.
That's the best time for my internet, because I'm surprised that it lasted this long with my internet going out, because normally internet goes out in the afternoon sometime. And I know you guys are with your old fiber, but I don't know how Canadian fiber is. But this Friday, just because Maria's working at 8 a.m., we might do it, or it's scheduled to do it 10 p.m. Eastern time. Full of Brick. Oh, so this is coming out Friday, isn't it?
Yeah, 7 a.m.
Okay, so later on this afternoon or tonight at 10 p.m., if you're watching this on Friday, we're going to do Full of Brick on the Brick Adjuster channel. But normally it's on Saturday mornings. Okay. And a lot of people usually watch it after the fact, I'm finding it, because hardly anyone wakes up that early.
Yeah, no, that's too damn early.
Sometimes I'll see What Up Fam, and it's Shy. I'm like, oh, Shy's awake.
He's like, me like waking up and like looking at my phone first thing and then just seeing
You're like, what are these energetic people doing so early in the morning?
All right, well, go check that out. Check out Brick Adjuster. He's been around the community for a long time, so give him some love. Is there anything else that you guys want to say?
I wanted to hear more of the catchphrases, but I didn't hear any of the catchphrases.
I was too busy listening. I was so good.
I wanted to hear a cold-blooded.
He said one.
Cold-blooded.
Yeah, there you go.
All right, with that little catchphrase, let's roll that music. Everyone have a good night. Peace. Thanks,
Where'd you get that music from? Did you make that music? Oh, I thought Ninja.
Yeah, Ninja gave it to me. He took it from the studio somewhere.